As far as companions go throughout the world of Fallout 4, journalist Piper Wright is definitely a predominant favourite. Nosy and rebellious, Piper always seems to land herself in hot water in search of the truth, and today we're going to be taking a detailed look at the life of Miss Wright. Welcome to the video. You're listening to Phil of Filbee Gaming. If you enjoy the following, you all know what to do, and if you're new here and aren't subscribed to the channel already, after watching, please consider doing so. With that being said, let's get into what we came here to see. A journalist's tale, the life of Piper Wright. The playable protagonist will first encounter Piper Wright as we attempt to gain access to the great green jewel of the Commonwealth, Diamond City, in the following interaction.
What do you mean you can't open the gate? Stop playing around, Danny. I'm standing out in the open here, for crying out loud.
I got orders not to let you in, Miss Piper. I'm sorry. I'm just doing my job.
Ooh, just doing your job. Protecting Diamond City means keeping me out, is that it? Oh, look, it's the scary reporter.
I'm sorry, but Mayor McDonough's really steamed, Piper. Saying that article you wrote was all lies. The whole city's in a tizzy.
Ugh. You open this gate right now, Danny Sullivan. I live here. You can't just lock me out. Damn it, Danny. Open up! You want into Diamond City, right?
What? Who are you?
Shh. Play along. What's that? You said you're a trader up from Quincy? You have enough supplies to keep the general store stocked for a whole month? You hear that, Danny? You gonna open the gate and let us in, or are you gonna be the one talking to crazy Myrna about losing out on all the supply?
Jeez, all right. I need to make it personal, Piper. Give me a minute.
Better head inside quick before old Danny catches on to the bluff.
This place, Diamond City. What is it?
Oh, the green jewel? She's a sight. Everyone who's anyone in the Commonwealth is from here, settled here, got kicked out of here. A big wall, some power, working plumbing, schools, and some security goons are what make Diamond City the big monster it is. Oh, love it or hate it. You'll see for yourself soon enough. Let's go.
Piper is quickly met by the mayor of the city, McDonough, who's none too happy to see her.
Piper, who let you back inside? I told Sullivan to keep that gate shut. You devious, rabble-rousing slanderer. The level of dishonesty in that paper of yours. I'll have that printer scrapped for parts.
Ooh, that a statement, Mr. McDonough? Tyrant mayor shuts down the press. Why don't we ask the newcomer? You support the news? Because the mayor's threatened to throw free speech in the dumpster.
What newspaper are you talking about?
Mine. Public Occurrences. And we're the hard look at the truth. So are you with us or not?
Always believed in freedom of the press.
Oh, I didn't mean to bring you into this argument, good sir. No. You look like Diamond City material. Welcome to the great green jewel of the Commonwealth. Safe, happy, a fine place to come. Spend your money, settle down. Don't let this muckraker here tell you otherwise, all right?
What are you two arguing about, anyway?
What do you think? Print lies and everybody's happy, but if you print the truth...
Now, was there anything particular you came to our city for?
What is this place, anyway?
Why, this is the safest place in all the Commonwealth, with the strongest community and highest standards of living available. We have stores, doctors, schools, power, running water, and the wall as our sacred protector. You'll learn more about the wall soon, I'm sure. But I was talking about you. Come on now, what brought you all the way out here?
I'm trying to find someone.
Trying to find someone? Who?
My son, Sean. He's less than a year old.
Wait, Your son's missing? Oh, you hear that, McDonough? What's Diamond City Security doing to help this man, huh? This isn't the first missing persons report to come through here, and now we have an infant who's been taken?
Don't listen to her. Well, I'm afraid that our security team can't follow every case that comes through. I'm confident that you can find help here. Diamond City has every conceivable service known to man. One of our great citizens can surely find the time to help you.
Well, sure. And a mayor of a great city must know everyone. Who can help me?
Well, there is one private citizen, Nick Valentine, a detective of sorts who specializes in tracking people down, usually for debts or whatnot. Now, I have to get going. I'm sorry, Diamond City Security doesn't have time to help, but I'm sure Mr. Valentine charges a reasonable fee.
This is ridiculous. Diamond City Security can't spare one officer to help? I want the truth, McDonough. What's the real reason security never investigates?
I've had enough of this, Piper. From now on, consider you and that little sister of yours on notice.
Yeah, keep talking, McDonough. That's all you're good for. I'm impressed. Not everyone can claw information out of McDonough's tight-fisted hands. Why don't you stop by my office after you see Valentine? I think I just found my next story.
After this, the player can apologise for his role in the bluff to the security guard, Danny Sullivan, who gives us a little insight to the character of Piper Wright.
You're Sullivan, right?
So, you're that traitor Piper was talking about. Something tells me she's pulled the wool over my eyes again. Am I right?
I didn't mean to lie, officer. It all just happened so fast.
You're not the first guy Piper pulled into a heap of trouble he wasn't ready for. Thanks for being honest. If it were up to me, we would have just let the both of you in. But the mayor's calling the shots, and... well, you saw how mad he is. Anyway, welcome to Diamond City and all that. I gotta get back to work.
Heading into Diamond City itself, we can quickly meet up with Piper, who's currently reuniting with their little sister, Nat.
Hey, kiddo. How are the paper sales?
Well, the presses are getting overloaded. That motor is going to go soon if we don't replace it.
You've been saying that for weeks and the old girl still keeps cranking. Stop worrying so much. I gotta head into the office. You start whistling if you see any angry politicians coming our way.
Why? Is something wrong? Piper?
The player can interact with Nat, who fills us in on rumours of the Institute, a faction feared by many in the Commonwealth.
Free paper to newcomers. If the Institute grabs you in the night, at least we warned you.
The Institute?
You ain't heard of the Institute, mister? They snatch people up in the night and no one hears from them again. It's all in the paper. Better read up before they grab you, too.
Who's gone missing?
Drifters, residents, stadium seat snobs. Seems every year or so, someone's gone, and we all know why. So you better be careful, newcomer. The Institute is out there, and they'll grab you too. Like I said, it's all in the paper.
I believe you. Thanks.
You're a real lost lamb in the wolf's den, mister.
Before heading into public occurrences, the home and base of operations for Piper and her sister, Nat hands the player a copy of the latest edition of their newspaper, titled The Synthetic Truth, something we'll come back to shortly. For right now, we have an interview to do. Heading into the office, Piper is awaiting our arrival.
Piper.
Holding up, Blue?
Why are you calling me that?
'Cause of the blue jumpsuit you're wearing? You're a vault dweller. So here's the deal. I want an interview. Your life story in print. I think it's time Diamond City had a little outside perspective on the Commonwealth. You do that, and I'll tell you what. I'll come with you. Watch your back while you get used to the world above ground.
All right, Piper. I'm in.
Good. Let's get down to business. So, I know you're from a vault. How would you describe your time on the inside?
My family and I were frozen. I didn't spend much time in the vault.
Wait, they boxed you up in a fridge? The whole time? Are you saying you were alive before the war?
Yes. I'm over 200 years old.
Oh my god. The man out of time. So, you've seen the Commonwealth, Diamond City. How does it compare to your old life?
Can you even compare the two? The world out here? It's not even close to the one I left.
Feeling a little homesick, are we? Can't say I blame you. Now, I already know you're looking for your son, Sean. Do you suspect the Institute was involved in his kidnapping?
I don't know.
No one ever does. That's what makes them so scary. For the last part of our interview, I'd like to do something different. I want you to make a statement to Diamond City directly. The threat of kidnapping is all but ignored in the Commonwealth. Everyone wants to pretend it just doesn't happen. What would you say to someone out there who's lost a loved one but might be too scared or too numb to the world to look for them?
Wait, people just ignore kidnappings out here?
Yeah, Blue, you haven't noticed? You grow up in the Commonwealth and eventually someone is gonna get taken. Maybe not someone you know, but someone. And people just say, well, could have been worse. Could have been killed by raider attacks, or super mutants, or feral ghouls. They just give up. So I want my readers to hear what keeps you going. Maybe they'll find a little inspiration. Now, what would you like to say?
Find who's responsible and make them pay. Simple as that.
I'll take anger over apathy any day. Good quote. Thanks, Blue. That's everything. It's gonna take some time to put this all together, but I think your story is gonna give Diamond City plenty to talk about. Anyway, I agreed to come with you, right? Watch your back. Just say the word when you're ready. I can't wait to see where the story goes next.
During the interview, just like Nat, Piper mentions the Institute, which takes us back to the printed newspaper article, The Synthetic Truth. It reads as follows. Noodles, we all eat them, we all love them, and Diamond City's Power Noodles has supplied this sustenance for the past 15 years. From the stilted mechanical cadence of Takaheshi's programmed Japanese, to the fragrant steam that wafts from each bowl, to the sealed tang of each delicious mouthful, the ordering and eating of noodles is but one of many shared human experiences. Or is it? I was struck by this very question as I sat at the counter of Power Noodles last Wednesday night, just after 5 PM, enjoying a dinner I had so many times before. That's when I noticed our very own Mayor McDonough sidle up to a stool and engage in the very same ritual. Right hand extending, mouth opening, teeth chewing. Yes, eating noodles. The shared experience of almost every Diamond City resident. So it must have seemed to the residents of Diamond City nearly 60 years ago on an uncharacteristically warm May evening in 2229 as they sat around the very same counter. But that was before the days of Takahashi and his noodles, when the bar served not noodles but ice-cold Nuka-Colas, frothy beers and stiff shots of whiskey. The barman's name was Henry, and that night he facilitated the shared human experience of drinking, smoking, talking and laughing. That is, until tragedy struck. There aren't many among us who are even old enough to remember that evening, although some of the city's ghoul residents certainly could have, had they not been forcibly removed, thanks to Mayor McDonough's anti-ghoul decree of 2282. But there is one person among us who does remember distinctly the events of that evening, respected matriarch Eustace Hawthorne, who recounted their story in a Public Occurrences exclusive interview. Oh, I was there all right, sitting right at the bar, sure as you're sitting in front of me now, 22 years old or so, and just looking to have a good time. I was safe behind the wall, we all were, so what was the harm? And let me tell you that Mr. Carter made it easy. He came into town earlier that day, said he was from out west somewhere, it didn't really matter. What did matter was his smile, and his laugh, and the way he made everyone feel at ease. That night, at the bar, we all just sort of crowded around him. Everyone wanted to exchange a word, or hear about the state of the Commonwealth, and Mr. Carter, he was all too happy to oblige. It was just so wonderful, until it wasn't. Eustace continued her account of that evening, and the moment when things turned sinister, and the truth about Mr. Carter was revealed. We'd been drinking and carrying on, must have been 3 hours. Mr. Carter had 4 or 5 drinks in that time. He seems a bit drunk, I guess, like the rest of us. Then something just sort of happened. He was smiling, but the smile sort of went from his face, all in an instant, and then his cheek started twitching, kind of funny. And I remember watching him, clear as if it happened just yesterday. He reached inside his coat, took out a revolver, and then blam! He shot Henry, the barman, right in the head. didn't hesitate, didn't show any emotion. Mr. Carter killed Henry as casually as if he were paying him for a drink, but his cheek never stopped twitching. Let me tell you, all hell broke loose after that. What Eustace is describing, of course, is the infamous event known as the Broken Mask, when the people of the Commonwealth learned for the first time that the Institute, the shadowy scientific organisation responsible for the creation of combat androids, had actually succeeded in creating a model so advanced it could effortlessly infiltrate human society. Unbeknownst to the people of Diamond City, the Institute had somehow evolved their androids into true synthetic humans, synths. After he shot Henry, that Mr. Carter shot 3 or 4 other people too. Like I said, all hell broke loose. The guards came running, they opened fire, and Mr. Carter, he kept shooting and throwing people around left and right. Finally, those guards put him down. Seemed like they had killed a man who had flipped his lid, gone crazy, and he laid there like a dead crazy man, sure enough. God, it was horrible. But then we saw the plastic and the metal. This was one of them early synths, you see, and we now realised it wasn't a man at all. It was then we all knew. The Institute wasn't just out there, the Institute was everywhere now, among us. It was never determined precisely why the synth known as Mr. Carter went on a killing spree. Some suggested that he had somehow been remotely controlled by the Institute, who wanted to test his combat effectiveness. Still others felt that he had simply malfunctioned, a hypothesis supported by the twitching cheek, and was never meant to kill anyone. But at that time, the why hardly seemed important. What mattered was that the humans of the Commonwealth had truly been infiltrated by an organisation whose intentions and motives were, and still are, a complete mystery, using a model of synth even less advanced from the ones the Institute has in service today. Which brings us to noodles, specifically the noodles consumed by Mayor McDonough last Wednesday night, in the same spot that Mr. Carter the synth went haywire and mercilessly killed several people after spending hours sharing an experience the people of Diamond City assumed was reserved for members of the human race. They were wrong. Are we? We now understand the reasoning behind the confrontation between Piper and McDonough upon our entry into Diamond City. Travelling near the rear of the city, Mayor McDonough can be witnessed trying to justify his innocence.
Everyone's attention. I would like to address the subject that is on everyone's mind, and that is the disgusting article Piper has written. Diamond City has stood united for over 150 years, and what keeps us united are 2 things. First is the great green guardian behind me, the Wall. Our protector and our savior from the filth of the outside. And second is our faith and trust in each other. The faith and trust that has given us prosperity, security, and education for every citizen. And while the paper might point their fingers at synths and other ghost stories to drive us apart, we will not betray this sacred trust. Now, I want everyone to hear these next words very carefully. I am not a synth. I am the same flesh and blood boy who grew up on these streets, who was born in a shack just down the waterfront to Martha and Patrick McDonough. And I will not abandon my city due to the heinous allegations of the press. God bless this city. God bless the Wall.
But why is Piper hell-bent on exposing the leader of Diamond City? Why does she have a distrust in the higher-ups? Well, a conversation between the protagonist and Piper herself reveals a little of her backstory, giving us insight into her skepticism.
Always on good behavior, aren't you?
I try to be.
Seems like you're doing better than trying. I appreciate it. Too few folks can be bothered. Of course, in my experience, if you want to do real good, playing nice only gets you so far. I mean, look at Diamond City. A place I've been trying to warn of real danger. But every issue I publish, all I hear is, "Oh, Piper, why don't you ever publish anything happy? Piper, why can't you write something nice for a change?" It's enough to make me want to hang up my hat some days.
Is Diamond City really in danger? It's not like there's raiders pounding on the gate.
Are you kidding me? There is a very real chance the city leadership has been infiltrated by an Institute synth. A synth under the control of an organization widely known to kidnap or murder anyone that stands up to them. I'd take raiders at the gate any day of the week over that. Of course, making sure folks are actually listening. That's a battle in itself.
Sounds like it must be exhausting.
No kidding. But people, they deserve to know the truth. Sure, it can be scary, knowing what's really out there. A night doesn't go by, I'm not afraid some Institute drone will decide today's the day to pay old Piper and family a visit. But it's worth it, because I know the truth. That's what protects us.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. How can you protect you and yours if you don't know what you're facing?
Exactly. Most folks, though, they'd prefer a comforting lie. Not me. I've seen firsthand what the truth can do. My sister and I, we grew up way out in the Commonwealth. Tiny little settlement. Our dad, he was part of the local militia. Keeping the raiders off our backs and the mirelurks out of our latrines, as he'd describe it. Well, one day, our dad turns up dead. His captain, asshole named Mayburn, claims raiders must have gotten him on watch. Well, I didn't buy it. I start making inquiries. Turns out, captain, he'd sold out. Thought he wasn't getting paid enough to babysit the town. He was gonna leave the gates open one night. Let a group of raiders sack the place and take a cut of the profits. My dad found out and was gonna turn Mayburn in, but Mayburn got to him first. And I wasn't about to let that bastard get away with murder. I tried talking to the mayor, but he wouldn't listen. So, I papered the entire town in posters. Wanted for gross dereliction of duty, Captain Mayburn. The mayor sure wanted to talk after that. The town threw Mayburn out on his ass and were dug in when a very surprised group of raiders finally showed.
I'm sorry about your dad.
Thanks. It was hard after he was gone, but knowing that he died doing right, that's always made it easier. But hey, I'm sorry if I've been rambling. I just get fired up sometimes. It's just nice to talk to someone who actually seems to get it, you know? So, should we head out?
Following the death of her father, Piper Wright and younger sister Nat ventured to Diamond City. Although Piper had an eye for detail and a nose for the truth, she originally didn't start out as a journalist. A quick peek into Piper's personal terminal upstairs in her office reveals that she began publishing originally as an agony aunt of sorts, titling her writings as public perspectives. People would write into Piper seeking out advice, such as this article titled Desperate in Diamond City, which reads as follows. Dear public, I've been living in Diamond City for years now, but I've never been able to land myself a girlfriend. I wear nice clothes and give them free drinks, but they just seem to think I'm some sort of creep. My boss says I've got the face only a mother could love, and I think he's right. I feel like I'm out of options, public. Should I take the plunge and change my face? Desperate in Diamond City. To which Piper replies, Dear Desperate, ever tried talking to these girls? You should give it a go. No more trying to buy your way to affection. You need to earn it. So Piper's heart is in the right place, even if her words can seem a little blunt. We see more of Piper's caring nature as we help out the residents of Diamond City.
Working hard?
Don't touch the paint.
Don't worry, I won't.
It's okay, Abbott. I got my eye on this one.
Good. The wall keeps out the bad guys, so I appreciate you not messing her up none.
Think this through. Darcy isn't worth dying for. Or killing for.
Think about what you're doing to poor Paul.
You know what? You're right.
No, Travis, this is between Vadim and those men. It's not your fault.
But if I hadn't gotten into that fight with them, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
Don't do that to yourself. All we can do now is figure out how to make this right.
Look, I don't really, I mean...
Although some are still wary of the journalist.
I ain't telling you how to pick your friends. Piper's kind of a troublemaker.
As Piper progressed from her agony aunt writings and moved more towards reporting her perception of the truth, some took not so kindly to this, even with one faction going to the extremes to silence Piper permanently. We learn of the details during a conversation with the journalist.
Hey.
Point the way.
Piper.
You really do have a talent for finding trouble, don't you?
I suppose so.
Hey, I'm not one to judge. Honestly, it's just nice to not be doing it alone for a change. In my line of work, things tend to get pretty hairy. I've been shot at, poisoned, nearly executed. Heck, until recently they called the lockup in Diamond City the Piper Suite. Anything for a story, I suppose.
Someone poisoned you?
You kidding me? I barely had the paper going before I got poisoned. First time, I just published an article about this cartel of caravans that had been driving up food prices in the city. Article went over well, even got a boycott of their goods started in town, so I figured I'd pop over to the Dugout Inn for a victory drink. I'd already taken a swig by the time I realized something was wrong. The Dean, he wasn't at the bar. The beer tasted off, even more so than usual. And I started feeling real woozy. I don't know what he slipped me, but I knew I had to get it out. I'm looking around for something, and there it is, the still, and I just start chugging moonshine. Honestly, I'm still not totally convinced it was better than just dying from the poison, but it worked. And while I was passed out on the floor, security managed to grab the bartender. He eventually ratted out his bosses, and they all got to share some time in the pen.
You've led an exciting life.
Sure have. But honestly, now that I'm out here with you, I feel like I'm just getting started. Get in trouble is what folks like us do. I mean, you and I are out here putting ourselves at risk so people in the Commonwealth can have a chance at a better life. Not for praise or reward or glory, but because it's right. I just wanted to let you know I'm real happy to be along for the ride.
I wouldn't want it any other way. I like having you close.
Oh, thanks, Lou. That's awfully sweet. Unexpected of you. So you want to get out of here?
Sometime later, our very own interview was published in Public Occurrences. Depending on your answer to Piper's questions, the article will differ. Here are my version of events. Whenever I take a walk through Diamond City, there are so many things people tell me to be grateful for. Purified water, working lights, electricity, security. True, what would have been unthinkable a few decades ago, but it's easy to forget that even after that, even after all the progress we've made, we're still living in the shadow of a world that was. A world before the threat of radiation, before the super mutant and feral ghoul and the synth. So as fortune often has it, I cross paths with Phil, Vault Dweller, a person who's experiencing the Commonwealth for the first time. What would his fresh set of eyes say about how far we've come? Is Diamond City the great green jewel we've always claimed it to be? Before we begin to answer that question, we have to know who Phil is, where he comes from. To my surprise, he did not have much to say about his life in the vault at all. He spent all that time staring at a piece of frozen glass for over 2 centuries. That's right, Phil isn't just a vault dweller, he's an original vault dweller. He spent his entire time on the inside, cryogenically suspended. So what does Phil have to say after seeing Diamond City for the first time?
Can you even compare the two? The world out here? It's not even close to the one I left.
While we like to think of our city as the shining jewel, it's worth remembering that not everyone comes here by choice. Sometimes people are forced from the comforts of their homes, and as the largest settlements in the Commonwealth, this is where they end up. Most are just looking for refuge, but sometimes they come here desperately looking for something, or someone. You see, Phil has a son, Sean, and even though they were in the relative safety of the vault, someone broke in and took Sean from his parents, and that parent is now risking everything, wandering through the strange and unfriendly world of ours in order to save Sean from his kidnappers. We all know the rumours and whispers that surround every missing person in Diamond City, the guilty looks we pass on to mourning family members as we thank the world that this time it wasn't us. You can end up dead in the Commonwealth for a million reasons. Why spend our time worrying about kidnappings? Why, indeed. It's easy for us to be cynical about the missing. We have spent so long knowing the Institute is out there, but understanding so little about them. They are not the only ones responsible for kidnappings, but the fact that they sometimes are, and the fact that we've been so powerless to stop them when they do, causes us to treat all victims of kidnappings as if they are a lost cause. But the people left behind, those loved ones, friends and neighbours who may never see the faces of those taken from them again, they do not have the luxury of being able to just look away. They have to carry that loss with them, even if everyone else tells them to move on and forget. I asked Phil to make a statement to Diamond City to give us an outsider's perspective on what it means to lose a loved one and how he feels. Maybe, in some way, it's how we should all feel. Maybe we've forgotten what the right human responses to these tragedies are.
Find who's responsible and make them pay. Simple as that.
As the protagonist and Piper form a closer relationship, the journalist opens up to the Vault Dweller about her fears concerning her little sister Nat, potentially brought on by the player's missing son.
So, you're not an idiot.
Thanks? I guess?
No, I didn't mean like... I could just use some help. This isn't the sort of thing I'd normally bother anyone else with, but you just seem really good with people, and I've got this issue with my sister, Nat, becoming me.
Alright, what's the issue?
I'm just terrified she's gonna start taking up like her big sis. I mean, think about the life we lead. No offense intended, Blue, but personal safety doesn't exactly seem like either of our strong suits. I can't have her ending up like her big sister, dodging bullets and running from all the people she pisses off. It's part of the reason I'm on the road so much. Part of the reason I'm here with you. I keep thinking, maybe if I make myself scarce, if I'm not around her enough, she'll cool off. She'll just go back to being sweet, innocent Nat, paper girl, an all-around upstanding citizen. What do I do, Blue?
You just love her. Family's precious. The last thing you want to do is drive them away, because you might lose them forever.
You're right. I can't risk that. Thanks, Blue. Who'd expect wandering off with a stranger to turn out this well? They really don't make them like you anymore. You're a hell of a friend, you know that?
Just friends, huh?
Well, yeah. I guess, but I thought so. Unless, you know, something changes. God, did it get hot in here? But hey, thanks again for listening. It's a real weight off my chest to be able to talk it out with someone. So, you wanna hit the road?
So Piper is clearly concerned about Nat turning into another version of herself. This shows us that in some form, Piper regrets the life she leads and is torn between living a peaceful life back in Diamond City with her younger sibling and her search for truth and justice. In one final moment with the protagonist, Piper reflects on her life choices so far and how she feels about her current situation.
Blue, you got a minute?
Sure thing.
Just what you said about Nat. I've been going over it again and again in my head, and what you said was right. Family's too precious. What kind of life is she gonna have if I never go near her again? It's just... sometimes it feels like the only things I've got in life are Nat and the paper. Having someone I can count on, someone like you, it's meant a lot to me. Not a lot of people want to hang around with the nosy reporter.
Yeah, but you're my kind of nosy.
You're the exception. I haven't exactly made a lot of friends in this career. I just wanted to right the things I thought were wrong. And when Nat and I first got to Diamond City, there was a lot of wrong. Crooked guards, lousy infrastructure. There was a hole in the exterior wall that was patched over with a bookcase. One bookcase. That's it. I started the paper more as an act of desperation than anything else. Turned out I wasn't the only one who wanted things to change. After the first couple of editions, people may not have agreed with what I said, but everyone was listening.
Sounds like you really cleaned up Diamond City.
Well, a lot of things got done. They even put a second bookshelf over that hole, and patched it with bricks. When that first edition hit the stands, I felt like I'd finally done something worth doing. But afterwards, things changed. People didn't want to talk the way they used to. It seemed that overnight I'd gone from being Piper, friend and confidant, to Piper, the nosy snoop. A lot of folks, they haven't treated me the same since. It started to feel like the only person I could count on was my little sis.
That was a long time ago. People can't still treat you that way.
You'd think, but if anything, it's gotten worse. Sure, I've earned some friends back in town, but now I've even got a reputation outside Diamond City. That's why I'm so lucky to have someone like you. You're not afraid of me like everyone else. I was sure that the paper would be the best thing I ever did in my life, but being here with you now, Now I don't know. I've needed someone like you in my life for a long time, Blue. I just never expected I'd actually get them. So thank you for being the friend I can count on.
It sounds to me like you're interested in becoming more than just friends.
Oh, I mean, well, I'd be lying if I said I never thought about you that way. Not that I'm always thinking that way. It's just, Blue, I'm loud and pushy and constantly getting in over my head. Why would someone like you ever want someone like me?
All we've been through? I've already seen you at your worst.
And you're still here, aren't you? Goodness, Blue, I don't know what to say. You're everything I could ever ask for. Come on, let's not keep the world waiting.
From Piper's rough upbringing, including the death of her father at the hands of a person they were supposed to trust, Piper became skeptical about the people around her, bordering on paranoia. When moving to Diamond City, Piper originally tried to help the residents in her own way by creating an article where she would hand out life advice. She switched to public occurrences after seeing a lot wrong with the city. Piper would write articles full well knowing she may create enemies, but she felt so strongly about providing the truth that she became persistent in her search. Even after the assassination attempt on her life, she continued on with her publishings, even targeting Mayor McDonough, accusing him of being an Institute synth. It turns out Piper wasn't as paranoid as first thought. Her theory towards Mayor McDonough turned out to be true.
You gotta listen. Mayor McDonough, I saw him with one of those Institute synths. Piper was right. He's one of them.
McDonough's a synth. Oh God. What do we do now?
You can stop standing around. Someone get a doctor.
I was making my rounds near the mayor's office when I heard shouting. Thought he was in trouble at first. Then, when I found him, he was with a synth. One of those old ones, with all the metal parts. Said something about how they can't do this to him. That's when they noticed I was there. Got plugged 2 times before I ran to the elevator. I remember falling, and it's kind of hazy.
I can't go back to the Institute. I can't stay here, but I'm a man of resourcefulness. I'll make my way. Trial? Please. You know how these people feel about synths.
With the help of the protagonist, Piper managed to find peace in life, even mending the relationship between herself and her little sister, and settling down with someone who finally understands her. This concludes the life story of journalist Piper Wright. If you enjoyed today's video, you all know what to do, and if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. If you wish to see more lore videos on Fallout 4, let me know in the comment section. Thank you all for watching. You've been listening to Phil of Filbee Gaming, and I'll see you in the next video.